Good morning and a very warm welcome to all Coordin Club members worldwide, as well as everyone watching. I'm all the way here in Jerusalem. I was just at a temple. That's the holiest place for Jews and third holiest place for Muslims. The only problem with that is that your legs are covered. I swear next time if I go up there, I'm bringing sweatpants. I mean, those who have shorts that are too short or pants that are not long enough will have to use these kilt-like things, which are bad. I mean, I hate those. Next time I'm bringing a pair of long pants when I go there, for sure. Anyway, you guys, I'm right now standing on the Tower of David, which is a pretty famous landmark of Jerusalem. I'll show you around as much as I can each way. The most fun fact about this tower is that King David was never there. I mean, you're probably wondering why. If you ask me, you'll never know the answer until I hear it. Take a look around. I'm standing in the courtyard, but because of the harsh sunlight, it's hard to see the stones. Maybe this might help. It's harder than it looks, but this temple was actually Herod's. The reason why this is called the Tower of David is because it was in David's city. It's hard to see with the sunlight, but if you look across, you'll see the wall that protected King Herod's palace. If you look below that wall, you'll see the foundation of it. Each foundation has an arch in it. So right now I'm standing on King Herod's tower, one of the only 3 towers that he built that is still standing, and in fact the only place to get a 360-degree view of Jerusalem. Ironically, I didn't hear about this till now, but I'll show you some sights over in this place. I can actually see further than Jerusalem itself. I can also see Tel Aviv from well beyond there. I can also see pretty much like even further. In front of me is the Golden Dome of the Rock, the place where Abraham was believed to sacrifice his son, and also a place where Muslims pray. It's right now on a rock, which I forget the name of, but also, you may realize that if I zoom out a bit, I can possibly see more. It's hard to see the landmarks because of the sunlight again. I apologize for that. But I'll try to show everything in the best way I can. To the left of the Golden Dome, you can see the first Hebrew-speaking university in the world, which was later removed and gone to an island in 1948. But now, there's another one. It's now the largest Hebrew university in the world. Behind me stands the Muslim corner with the Dome of the Rock. Also to my right is the Christian corner with the two domes. They include the smaller white one and the larger dark one. The Muslim corner is actually the beginning of the path where Jesus was crucified, and in fact the largest quarter in Israel. It also includes the temple that's beyond the Dome of the Rock. The third most famous quarter is the Jewish quarter. It's the third largest and most famous. That is composed of the Western Wall, Masada, and of course, there's more. I'll be heading to Masada soon. If you look in front, toward the left on the other side, you can see the first Jewish neighborhood, Miskanot Hashim, if I'm correct in my pronunciation, which is outside the walls. It's got two long buildings, which you can see over there. Those two long buildings are pretty much the most famous to the Jewish neighborhood. You can also see the red roofs for the second neighborhood, Beni Yoshe. Before both those neighborhoods were built, Jews were afraid to leave the city walls for sanitary reasons and because the city was crowded. I mean, for a lot of us today, being sanitary is key, so if you were one of the Jews, you would definitely want to live back here 2,000 years ago for sanitary reasons. The last thing I will be able to show from up here will be the spot of where borders walls used to be between Israel and Jordan. A lot of things that would end up in a no man's land required the UN. A lot of barbed wires and border walls were there, but then they were torn down later. Alright, so I'm unable to vlog in the next part, but I'll explain after I hear all the information that's essential. So I'll move on. I actually spoke too soon about the no vlogging zone, but look right here. You may think those figures are authentic, but they're replicas. Everything that looks like an artifact is a replica in the museum. Right here you see a letter from Jerusalem, which is actually the first time in history that it's mentioned outside the Bible. And over here is another figurine. Those figurines were shattered to give bad luck, curses to Jews. When they were smashed, the enemy's power would break. Fun fact, did you know that Israel used to be divided into two regions, Israel itself and Judah? Jerusalem was the capital of Judah at that time. And not only that, there was a wall that divided the regions and had water flowing through it, which is what we saw earlier. The first temple room, which is what you see today, is that the raised floor isn't even touching the wall, which is a good thing. Now, what we see here is the second temple room right next to me. But before I go in, I want to explain a bit more of what I saw there. Jewish people learned how to speak Babylonian language after the Babylonians invaded the Jews. And yet they still stand to this very day. Before I go into this room, I would like to say that the children of Israel helped to rebuild the temple, and there's something that represents the wall, which is in the British Museum, where I've been to 2 years ago. Alright, so another thing I learned was that the temple was taken back during the Hanukkah story, where Judah Maccabee led the Maccabees to take it back by defeating the Greeks and destroying the statue of Zeus. Another thing I would like to explain is that also Jesus was crucified when he came to Jerusalem. The Romans thought he was the king of the Jews, and his crucifixion led to the development of Christianity. So here's a look right here. There's a look at Jerusalem during the Second Temple period. Now if you take a look right over here where I'm pointing to is the wall done by the Hasmoneans when the Greeks took over, but then later the Maccabees took the temple back during the Hanukkah story. Right over here on the outside, that's the wall that Herod built, hence why Herod was known as the Great Builder. And if you look right over here on the outside, a great friend of Octavius built this wall. Octavius Caesar is Julius Caesar's adopted son, who later became known as Augustus. If you look a little closer, you'll see this is Herod's palace. Right over here. And over here. Here's where the two mosques used to be, but now the dome is over there, and the other one is over here. I almost forgot to mention, this swastika is the only real artifact in this museum. A swastika in India is a symbol of good luck, and look right here. The swastika was from the Hulda gates, which were the two main gates that led to the Temple Mount. Again, done by King Herod the Great Builder. Now this is the only model of Jerusalem during the Byzantine periods. But look at one spot. Look up close, you'll see one important thing. The temple was destroyed. Even though it's hard to see here, this might help a bit. Yeah, there we go, that's better. That temple was destroyed. And not only that, you can see everything packed together because it was a crowded place. And you can also see a lot of churches here. Also some on the Olive. During the Byzantine period, Jews were not allowed to enter Jerusalem after Adrian took it over. But there was one exception to that, and that was on the 9th of Av, where Jews would come to mourn for the city that they have lost. It might still be the same thing today. If it is, that's because of the tradition. In front of me stands a large platform, which are the remains of a tower that stood from the time the Muslims took over Jerusalem. Extending out are two remaining walls. In front of the modern look arch is a speaker system that looks like a space station. Water used to run through there. On my left down below stands the courtyard with fresh scents. I'm gonna take a look there now. Look at this. Right now I'm sitting in the courtyard in the Tower of David. This is actually a perfect place for sightseers to rest, relax, catch a first scent of herbs, spices. basil, thyme. Those who want to relax can just sit here and catch their breath. You can also pray here if you're willing to, but only if it's not against the law. If it is against Israeli law, that's not allowed then. You can see these herbs that have been growing there. And also some remains of the towers as well. Here's a Muslim map. The Muslim-dominated regions are the Iberian Peninsula, North Africa, and some of the Middle East. The holy city is down here in Mecca, which is part of Saudi Arabia. Here's Jerusalem and Damascus, which are the next two. There's also Cairo, which was something else at that time, and Baghdad. Even Cordoba was Muslim dominated. The Spanish converted to Muslim religion in the Spanish Inquisition. Jerusalem, as we may all know now, had been different religions. One time Jewish, one time Muslim, and then it became Christian during the Crusader period, as all Muslims were kicked out. This place built by Herod became Christian. But before that, what I also saw was an actual look at the Golden Dome of the Rock. You also get more geometric features from a sculpture inside one of the prayer rooms. That prayer room was once a mosque, which is where Muslims would pray. In front of me lies a spot where there was a catapult, which would be fired at the Hasmonean walls built by the Greeks. Behind me lays an amphitheater of where a show is. You can get tickets there and see music, history, drama, all kinds of entertainment with an educational tie-in together. So what I just saw were what Mamluks look like. They're Muslims from Central Asia who were trained as soldiers in Egypt. Mamluks were in groups, and each group depended on the color of the turban. Whatever group you were in, that determined how much tax had to be paid. Yeah, whatever Mamluk you were, the tax had to be paid by a certain amount. In the modern days, the Israelis had more empires built outside the city walls, mainly Christian and Jewish. Also, the British invaded Jerusalem as well. Another turning point for the city was the Six-Day War, where Israel got Jerusalem back. But before that, they were part of the Ottoman Empire when the Turks took over. Jerusalem has a pretty long history to it. And the last thing I would like to mention is that there's also a model. Beyond it are 4 flags of 4 different nations. And I really enjoyed showing some things as well as learning for myself. It's been a heck of a tour. Alright, so I just finished having lunch, and I would like to say this. I'm not that much of a tour guide, but I learned how to present things. One person who you might ask on Media Crunch if they could be your tour guide is Abdel. I'm not even sure if he left already, but Abdel used to do this program called The Traveling Show. I mean, he was a great person. So right now I'm in a marketplace in Israel. Probably one of the most famous ones. You can see they got stores, some of which are to my left. And I must say, it's probably one of the greatest places to go shopping. Alright, so finally we will be taking a train back to the hotel. But the trains in Israel, they look like those cable cars in San Francisco. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also leave any suggestions. If you subscribe, you're a part of the Co-Warden Club. And I'll see you next time.